ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ NSR Impulse.
Yeah, let's continue with the concept resistance to insect pest. Insect pest, if you take, as I have written, hairy leaves. Most of the plants, most of the leaves as a part of defense mechanism, guys, whenever you observe some of the plants, very commonly you can see the hairs will be there on the leaf or hairs will be there on the stem, right? That's a very common mechanism to protect themselves from the attack of insects and pest, right? So here, apart from this, now if you look at here, we can say that jacids. So I'll write the complete point. Point is very, very important. Resistance to jacids. And where you find such kind of character? Cotton. Cotton shows resistance to jacids. Okay. So here this particular cotton, because of the hairy leaves, I'll write here again hairy leaves. Some of the cotton varieties, they show hairy leaves and they show resistance to jacids. Similarly, leaf cereal rust, or you can say borer, and this is resistance is shown by wheat. Okay, wheat shows resistance to leaf cereal rust or leaf cereal borer, right? Apart from this, let us take the same common examples. If I write and give arrow mark here, again you will confuse, so I'll write again. So here cotton, here because it shows two important characters. What are they? Smooth leaves, nectarless cotton. Cotton, it's because of the two important characters, smooth leaves and nectarless cotton, it shows resistance to what you call stem borer, or you can say fruit borer. Better you can write on shoot borer. Shoot borer and also to bollworms. Bollworms are not attracted, do not attracted, or do you better you write down, they are not attracted. Why they are not attracted? Guys, I'll come back to the point again with more clarity. In cotton, because of two characters, means we are modifying the gene and we are making the gene to produce smooth leaves, and nectarless cotton. In cotton, it is nectarless. When these two characters are there, then bollworms are not attracted, means they don't prefer to take nectarless cotton. They don't want to eat cotton because the cotton is not so tasty, right? Similarly, smooth leaves are there. So bollworms will not prefer to eat cotton, and also shoot borers also, they will not prefer the cotton to get it damaged. Better they'll go out of that place because of these characters called smooth leaves and nectarless cotton. So if the cotton want to get rid of these two, better to have these two characters. Similarly, if you take the wheat, I said I will write again the same examples. Wheat, because of the character a solid stem, because of the solid stem, here stems of fly is not preferred. What's the meaning of this? When you create the wheat variety which has very solid stem, then most commonly fly one, what is called stems of fly, will not prefer to make the holes. Stem borer, better you can also write here, this is also a stem borer. Suppose if you will not produce normal variety of wheat, if you take normal variety of wheat does not have a solid stem, it's very soft stem. Then generally what happens, stems of fly, it acts as a borer, it makes holes on the stem, it bores and makes holes on the stem, enters inside the stem of the weed and it causes damage and infection to the plant. Okay. So as we are making, if the stem is so soft, the insect can make hole. We are making stem as what? Hard, and we are making the stem as solid. When it has a solid stem, then stems of fly, it is not preferred. It will not make it will not prefer the weed to cause a damage. So these are nothing but a few things, and apart from this, let us take some more examples. Now if you take these things here, what are the other things here? Now you can take hairs on the stem and also spines, thorns. In morphology you have studied this, right? Apart from that, leafy tendrils. Now these characters also will make the plant to protect it get resistance, and that makes the plant not to get attacked by any other type of insects and pest. So if thorns are there, spines are there, you know, thick thorns, when thorns are there and spines are there, the plant or insect when it is trying to cause harm, it get damaged or get affected and get it will be affected by thorns, spines, very needle like. So when it is trying to attack, it will get affected and next time it will not prefer the plant to cause the infection. So here these characters are the general modifications gives the plant resistance from the attack of various type of insects and pests. Right. Now apart from this, now as we discussed so far about insect, pest and all that, now let us go with what is called as food quality. Now we are going to improve the next character called as what? Food quality. That is nothing but plant breeding for food quality. So far what we have discussed, plant breeding for disease resistance. Disease resistance to pathogens. Now disease resistance to insect and pest. That's my first character. My plant should be showing, it should show resistance to the disease. What is my second character, what I expect? The food grains, the fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses, what I want to produce from the plant, they should be nutritionally, they need to have a high quality. Nutritionally, they should be well efficient in giving all the micro elements, vitamins, macronutrients, micronutrients and all elements which are very much essential to play a vital role in the human metabolism. That means I want to make my plant nutritionally, it should be enriched, right? So now we will create the plant again through plant breeding, that is having high quality of food ingredients, right? So here if you take, mainly if we talk about this one, here we can say that there are some wheat varieties, Proteino and Shakti are the varieties of the wheat which are being produced, which this variety has double the amount of amino acids, double amount of amino acids, especially these having enriched with amino acids like lysine as well as asparagine. What does it mean here? So we are producing the wheat varieties. These wheat varieties what are produced? There are two varieties of wheat are produced. What are they? Proteino and Shakti. Now these two wheat varieties, they have, compared with the normal wild variety of wheat, these two varieties has double the amount of amino acids. Which amino acids especially? Lysine as well as asparagine, right? Now apart from this, now if you take Atlas 66, it's also variety which has high protein content, which has high protein content. Atlas 66 which is produced with more content of protein, right? Now apart from this, golden rice. Golden rice, it's called as Theipai, right? This golden rice has this is 5 times richer, 5 times rich in iron, right, and also well rich in beta carotene. Guys, the same example we will discuss once again in biotechnology applications. Thaipai, it's called as golden rice, or it's also referred as iron fortified rice. It's called as iron fortified rice, means it has more amount of iron. Compared with the normal rice grain, how much iron it has, compared with that, if you look at the newly created variety Thaipai has 5 times greater the amount of the iron. Consuming that, not only we get the iron, we also get beta carotene. So when you make the plant to enrich with high quantity of nutrition, that itself is the phenomena called as bio fortification. That itself is a phenomena called as bio fortification. I will write here clear one, bio fortification. I repeat again, what is bio fortification? We are making the plant which is highly enriched with nutrients. General wheat variety, if you take very little amount of amino acids, now my newly created variety has double the quantity of amino acids. So you are making the plant to have a better quality, better content of nutrients. When you make the plant to enriched with high quantity of the nutrients, the process of producing these varieties itself is called bio fortification. Bio means the plant, fortifying, fortified. Generally in TV advertisements also you will get, no, like for wheat, Pillsbury, Annapurna, that advertisements will get, right? In that they will say fortified, fortified wheat, fortified rice they will say. Fortified means what? Fortified wheat variety. Fortified means it's fully enriched with a specific type of nutrients for high metabolism, for high rate of human metabolism. They are produced with high quantity of, better quality of nutrients. The process is called as what? Bio fortification. Now if you look at the main objects of bio fortification, as I told you just now, to create better varieties. So what did I say? To biofortification, what are the main objectives? To create a better varieties. So I am writing here again, biofortification objectives. So what are the main objectives? So we make that, so high content of protein, and my food need to have high content of oil, high content of micronutrients, micronutrition, or you can write high content of vitamins and other type of minerals which are very much needed for human metabolism. Means what? When I am trying to create a new variety of the plant need to have the basic requirements. What are the basic requirements? The plant should have some amount of protein, some amount of oil, nutrients should be there, vitamins and minerals are there. Now what I am doing? I am trying to produce more quantity of the protein, more quantity of the oil, and high quantity of the micronutrition and vitamins and minerals. This is possible only by the method called as what? Biofortification. So here if you look at in IARI, Indian Agricultural and Research Institute, which is being located in New Delhi, where they keep on modifying, they are taking the natural varieties of the plant, they are keep on modifying the plants, and they are producing the new variety, and those new varieties has a specific type of nutrient. The plant should have a specific variety of high quantity of nutrient. For example, people in IARI, they already been created vitamin A enriched plant and also vitamin C enriched plant varieties. Right. Apart from this, even you can take calcium and iron right? Now you can take what not, they are already succeed in producing the plants like spinach, batua. Apart from this, even they have taken pineapple, carrot, beetroot, right? So these all are nothing but what? The varieties which are being created. These are the varieties which are created here, which are enriched with vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium as well as iron. Of course, you can have some more like tomato, potato, all this will come. So these are the varieties of the plants which are already produced, which are having enrichment of vitamin A in some plants, enrichment of vitamin C in some plants like gourds, cucumber and bitter gourd and all that, and also calcium and iron. So these are the nutrients which are enriched in the plants, and that is made it possible only by the process called as what? Bio Fortification. So guys, you may be thinking, why we have to modify the plant, why we have to produce more quality of the food and more quantity of the nutrients, what is the need for us? Existing natural wild varieties are sufficient? No, we are getting natural plant. Okay, the plant may not have high protein, but little protein is there? No. May not have high content of oil, but little oil is there? No. Why you want to modify the plant to have more content of protein and oil? What is the reason? Why we have to produce more nutritive enriched food? What is the need? The answer for this question is, you know the scenario of the world. Guys, you know the scenario of the world. With what we started our lesson, strategies for enhancement of food production. To increase the food production, what are the strategies are being applied? What are the strategies are being employed? So if you look at the scenario here, approximately across the world, 840 million people, they are not getting adequate food. Not getting adequate food. What is the meaning of this? If you look at the present world population in the present scenario, they are not getting the sufficient quantity of the food. What is the meaning of adequate? Not getting adequate means what? Adequate means little quantity. Means they are not even getting little quantity of the food. Right? Like that, how many people are suffering across the world? 840 million people are suffering. In that, specifically if you look at 3 billion people, they are suffering with hidden hunger. They are suffering with what? Hidden hunger. Means these people are being not noticed. Whatever is available, like in a week, once or twice they get here and there, they find on streets the people will be there. Some of them are beggars, like once in a while they get the food and they highly suffer with the hungerness. So that may not be noticed by the government, may not accurately, we cannot find how much population is really suffering without food at all. This is adequate food, little food. This is with almost no food. Once in a while whatever is available they eat. If they don't have any food, they simply sleep with empty stomach. So there are many people across the world, especially 3 billion people, they really suffering with what is called as hidden hunger, right? So what is that? If they suffer with adequate food, if they don't get no food, then what happens? Because of these two scenarios, there will be increase in risk for diseases. Means why there is an increase in risk for diseases? For the last class we discussed about complete the process of plant breeding. Now in the plant breeding we discussed about different steps. What we have, first one is germplasm collection, second one is selection of parents, and third one is hybridization. All the steps you need to study carefully, even though they are theory points, but you need to study very carefully. So we just continue with the topic. Now let us see about the plant breeding for disease resistance. Plant breeding for disease resistance. We have taken two characters. Yesterday when we discussed, for the last class when we discussed about plant breeding, if you can carefully see the video, we have taken two desirable characters. What are they? One is high protein content and second one is, what is that? Disease resistant. High protein content, the composition of the food, definitely we can change by applying different strategies, but to get disease resistance, you may got the doubt. Okay, the food quality, nutrition, all we can change. But how you can make the plant as disease resistance? How plant protect itself away from disease? How it is possible? Of course, if you take humans, animals, we have immunity. When we take more food, definitely WBC cells act as an antibodies. If any foreign organism is trying to cause infection, immediately antibodies they fight and they kill and they protect the body from the infection. So, immunity, animals have immunity. Then how plant shows this resistance? How plant gets a resistance towards the disease? How plant itself prevents not to get attack of infection causing organisms? This might be a question mark in your little mind. So, we have to continue with that. Now, let us see how plant shows resistance. So, what is the topic we are continuing? Plant breeding for disease resistance, right. Let us continue here. Now, if you take here disease resistance, first of all if you look at generally 20 to 30% of harvest loss from the farmers when we collect the field, either before harvesting or after harvesting. From the farmers when what you call field is fully cultivated, grains are ready to harvest, either before harvesting, what is harvesting? Collecting the yield, collecting the grains, right. Either before harvesting or after harvesting, there is 20 to 30% of loss generally commonly occurring everywhere. It is because of the most common affected pathogens or disease causing organisms such as insect pest. So, here yesterday we discussed, for the last class we discussed pathogens are nothing but bacteria, fungi as well as virus. Bacteria, fungi as well as virus. This may cause infection to the plant. As a result, the grains will be damaged. The yield, rice grains, wheat, bajra, jowar, the grains will be damaged, so that there is a loss in the harvest. The total yield loss will be there. Most commonly 20 to 30% of harvest loss will be there generally, and it is even though we say it's 20 to 30%, but that definitely it's a great loss for all the farmers. Right. So, what is the reason for that? Mostly pathogens may cause damage, or mostly insect pest may also cause destruction to the plant yield. Then plant has to protect itself from pathogens and insect pest. How it is possible? So, here exactly what comes into the picture is nothing but resistance. What comes into the picture is nothing but what? Resistance. So, what exactly meant by what is the way to define resistance here? If you look at here, we say the ability of the plant to prevent the pathogen from causing disease. So, plant has ability to prevent the pathogen from causing disease, right. So, here how plant itself prevent pathogen from causing disease? Guys, you don't have to worry. In the coming chapters like genetics and biotechnology, we have a very good examples where within the plant produces proteins, right. When plant produces the proteins are not harmful to the plant. But when insect is trying to make the hole, when insect is trying to bore the hole, these proteins what are present in the plant, they are very harmful and they become toxic to the insect. So that when insect takes the proteins, the insect cannot further cause the damage. So the proteins of the plant, certain type of chemicals prepared by the plant, when insect is trying to take plant as a food, that definitely becomes toxic and insect will die, and that kills all the pathogens, so that further the pest cannot make destruction or damage to the grains. Okay, that is nothing but self defense mechanism for the plant. So this we have very good examples. In coming classes we are going to discuss very good examples, like we have nematoda. Nematoda is not nematode generally. Nematoda melado incognitia. It's a type of insect. Most commonly it causes infection to the tobacco, but that genetically we prevented. We made the plant as resistant to cause killing of that particular parasite. Like that we have wonderful and most beautiful concepts along with examples are there. There you will come to know how plant itself will kill and shows resistance in killing and destroying the insect and pest who are causing damage, who are causing destruction. So that is what we call a disease resistance. To make the plant disease resistance, what we are doing? We are modifying the genes. The resistance showing gene we are inoculating into the plant. I will just give you clarity because later you are going to study this. Let us take, this is the plant. This is the cell. Cell has what? DNA. Its nucleus is there. This is nucleus. This is DNA. Now what we are doing now? This is a natural plant. Artificially on the name called biotechnology in genetic engineering, what we are doing? Now we are introducing a gene into this. We are introducing a gene into this. What this gene will do? So this is the introduced gene here. What this gene will do? The gene gives resistance to the plant. The gene gives resistance to the plant. So what happens here? The gene what we introduced here, it gives resistance, it secretes some of the proteins. So whenever insect is trying to make the hole here, eating these proteins, the proteins will become toxic to the insect and they kill and destroy the insect. So we are making the plant as disease resistant. So when you modify the gene of the plant, this is called a genetically modified plant. This is called as what? A genetically modified plant. In the processes like genetic engineering and biotechnology, nowadays it's very common that we are altering the genes. Natural plant we are taking whose genes are altered for our own benefit to meet the requirement of desirable characters. From this plant, what is my desirable character? What I want from this plant? I want my plant should take care of its own grains. Plant nunchi form aina grains. Plant protect chesukovalఅనేది my desirable character. I don't want to spray pesticides, chemicals, insecticides. వాటి పైన వచ్చే ఇన్సెక్ట్స్ని పెస్ట్ని కిల్ చేయడానికి ఫార్మర్స్ దే కీప్ ఆన్ స్ప్రే ఇన్సెక్టిసైడ్స్ అండ్ పెస్టిసైడ్స్, అవన్నీ కెమికల్స్. వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ వెన్ కెమికల్స్ ఆర్ స్ప్రేడ్? దే విల్ యాడ్ ఆన్ టు ద ఫ్రూట్. అన్నోయింగ్లీ ద రైస్ గ్రెయిన్స్ విత్ కెమికల్స్, ఇన్సెక్టిసైడ్స్, పెస్టిసైడ్స్ అవన్నీ కూడా కెమికల్స్, right? Unknowingly when farmers spraying more amount of chemicals on food grains, these food grains we are eating, and today human beings are suffering different type of diseases. It's only because of the food grains which are cultivated by spraying different type of chemicals. So I don't want farmers to apply chemicals because they are very harmful to human metabolism. Then what should I do? I can't go and stay beside the plant. Oh, no insect should not come, no pest should not come. So I want my plant should take care of its own grains. Plant దాని గ్రెయిన్స్ని దాని ఈల్డ్ని ప్లాంటే కాపాడుకోవాలి. How it is possible? Only by modification of the gene. I am introducing a gene, that gene shows resistance, plant itself will kill the insect. insect will be killed, insect will be destroyed, so that the yield or the grains or the food what I am getting it's safe from infection or damage, so that I can prevent 20 to 30% of harvest loss. Right guys, now today most of the scientists wonderfully they already created most of the plant varieties which shows a disease resistance. Already some plant varieties are created which already showing what? Disease resistance. We will discuss about that. Right. Now before that, most commonly examples if you take, you know, the mostly in most of the cases 20 to 30% of the loss mainly by pathogens. Which pathogens? As I told you, bacteria, fungi and virus. So if you take the bacteria, for example, for bacteria, wherever I write star marks, that's very important point. Okay, wherever I keep the star marks, those points are very important for all of you to remember. Right, for bacteria, I am just giving the example. I am giving it, black rot of cruciferous. You have to remember this is an example for bacterial infection. There are so many infections, there are so many diseases caused by bacteria, but here we are discussing only one example. Most commonly bacteria causes the disease called black rot of cruciferous. Similarly, I am giving examples for fungi because fungi is also most commonly get affected onto the plant. I mean plants get affected by fungi most commonly. So, I am writing examples for what? Fungi. Right. So, here we can say brown rust of wheat. Right. Apart from this brown rust of wheat, you can also talk about late blight of potato. So, this is L. Second most important one, late blight of potato, brown rust of wheat and red rot of sugar cane. Right. Wherever we keep star marks, again I repeat, these points are very important for the final need. Few examples you have to remember. For bacteria, what is the disease? Black rot of cruciferous. For fungi, you have to remember brown rust of wheat, late blight of potato, red rot of sugar cane. And similarly for virus, you know virus is invisible, these all are invisible, but viruses are more invisible. When they come in contact with the host, they become infectious. When they do not find the host outside the body of the host, they are non-living. So, you already have studied about viruses in biological classification, right? Viruses are also responsible for different type of diseases. Let us take few examples here. Most commonly one is nothing but tobacco mosaic virus, and apart from this even you can remember turnip mosaic virus. Okay, tobacco mosaic virus, turnip mosaic virus. So, we are discussing some examples of most commonly occurring diseases. Right. Now, let us go with, I said disease resistant varieties are already being created by the scientists, right. In disease resistant variety also, the most commonly employed technique is nothing but what? Plant breeding. Mostly we talk about plant breeding. So, here plant breeding can be done in two ways. One is nothing but conventional breeding and other one is mutational breeding. One is conventional breeding, other one is mutational breeding. Of course, there are so many methods are there, but most commonly employed one are two. Most commonly employed ones are two. What are they? Conventional breeding and the second one is mutational breeding. Conventional breeding also includes the same steps like planned for the last class what we discussed, like selection followed by hybridization. What is selection? We collect a different variety of plant species across India from different states. as we discussed for the last class plant breeding video, where we studied about, okay, when I talk about rice plant, I collect rice plant from Maharashtra, I collect rice plant from Mumbai or Chennai or Kolkata, different varieties, germplasm collection, right. So different varieties are collected, from that any two the best varieties are taken and selected, that is selection followed by hybridization. Hybridization, it includes what? Transfer of pollen grain from one flower to female flower and lying on the stigma, and pollen grain enters into the stigma and get fertilized with the egg, lead to the formation of the young plantlet, embryo to young plantlet, and the plant will have desirable characters, right. So, I am talking about conventional breeding. Still haven't come to mutational breeding here. Let us discuss about conventional breeding. In conventional breeding, what we are discussing now? Disease resistant plants. So here let us talk about some of the examples. The plants which show disease resistance are produced by conventional breeding. What is this conventional breeding? For the last video what we discussed, plant breeding itself is called conventional breeding. So now let us take examples of disease resistance. I will give you an important table for disease resistance here, that is very important, you need to concentrate and practice it on white paper, right. So let us continue with conventional breeding with disease resistance. Stop this. So here let us continue with plant breeding for disease resistance. Now guys, I am going to give you a good table. Table is very important. Guys, all of you, what you have to do is, it is not like simply listening the class and just it is like only understanding the lesson. You have to do little work. I expect all guys seriously has to do one work. What is that one work you have to do? Now I am going to give you the table. Table is very important. All of you have to take one white paper, take pen and practice the table. Why? Because here in this chapter we have two tables are there. In the two tables we have good examples. Examples are very important. Hardly from strategies we get two questions, if not one question. But when two questions come, definitely 2 questions or 1 question, whatever is the matter, but definitely we have chance of getting 1 question from the tables. Okay, so make sure that be serious in writing the table, understanding the table, and also practice number of times, right. So here I am talking about the variety or the plant name and the variety which is being created and that shows resistance to what? Again I am writing here disease resistance. Okay, so the first one, wheat variety. Normal wheat variety, if you take the one which they made disease resistance is a variety what they created, it is referred as Himgiri. It is referred as Himgiri and it shows resistance to, or better you can write disease resistance, or it shows resistance to leaf and curl rust and hill burned. You can also write stripe rust. What we are writing in the table now? Normal wheat variety we have taken, whose gene is modified and created another variety. Now this wheat variety who shows disease resistance is called Himgiri. Now Himgiri shows resistance to what diseases? Most commonly most common diseases which appear in wheat are this, right. Now our variety show resistance to these diseases. What are they? Leaf and curl rust, hill burnt and stripe rust. So these diseases may not get affected to wheat because wheat become very strong. Now it become disease resistance, right. Similarly, we can also take about brassica. So here this is referred as Pusa Swarnim. The variety what is created, it is called Pusa Swarnim. It is called Karan Roy. It is commonly referred as Karan Roy. Now this shows resistance to blight rust and black rot. Guys, you have to remember carefully, the name of the plant you have to remember, variety what is being created you have to remember, and that shows resistance to what disease you have to remember. Right. Next is, can take about the cauliflower. So this is referred as Pusa Shubra, and other variety what is created, it's called Pusa Snowball 1, or you can write K1. Now this shows resistance to bacterial blight, black rot. Mostly you have to remember bacterial blight. So wherever I give star marks, they are very important. So you have to remember the variety what is being created and shows resistance to what. Similarly, you can also talk about cowpea. The variety what is created, it's called Pusa Komal. Right, and this shows resistance to stripe rust. Stripe rust, bacterial blight are very common things which you have to remember. Especially one time in NEET exam, they even asked about, it shows resistance to white rust. So this you have to remember. Who shows resistance to white rust? Pusa Swarnim. Right, previously we got the question in the final NEET that Pusa Swarnim shows resistance to what? Then it shows resistance to what? White rust also. Along with these things you have to remember white rust also. Right. Next, apart from this, even you have to remember chili. Chili, it's what the variety created, it's called Pusa Sadbahar, and it shows resistance to TMV as well as chili mosaic virus. But I'll write complete thing. What is TMV? All of you know it, right? What is that? Tobacco mosaic virus. Tobacco mosaic virus, and other one is chili mosaic virus. Okay, so this all you have to remember. Table is very important. So guys, take one white paper and pen. Make sure that you practice the table. Quite simple, not so many examples, only 5 examples, and all 5 examples are important. All the 5 varieties created are important, and they show resistance to what is also very important. So you have to practice the table quite a number of times, learn and try to write once without seeing on the white paper. Guys, it's not just people watching and just listening. What you have to do is, the moment when this video is being kept here, by next day I have to say that all you guys should respond saying that work is done. Guys, I hope you are listening carefully. The 2 tables what I am going to give you, you have to practice on white paper, you have to learn, you have to understand and recite yourself and rewrite once without seeing on the white paper. And once the day when you get this class, by next day I have to say that work is done. You have to get reply to this work saying that work is done. Especially I am telling you, in some of the guys, on every exam paper, whenever recently I have written some exams, when exam is done, it's good appreciation goes to some of the people, some of the boys, some of the girls. They have given response to my personal WhatsApp saying that this question, why answer is this? Probably maybe the first option, or why fourth option? Probably it is third option. Why is it so? They have taken good clarity. That means they are concentrating and they are looking each and every word, each and every question at a molecular level. Guys, it's highly appreciated. After you write the exam, really the people, some of the people, they interacted with me. This maybe for this question, ma'am, this may be the option. No, why we are getting as third option? It's kind of that indicates the intensity, the strong intention at their heart and mind. Question paper lo na prati okka question analyze cheskoni ee question ki answer enduku and prati okka question discuss chesaru. Not all, I am telling again, few people, few boys and few girls. That indicates their strong intention. Even sitting at home, they are doing wonderful work. After writing the question paper, they are concentrating and each and every question carefully they are analyzing the question paper. That makes them to rock like anything in coming exams. Because when you carefully concentrate on each and every question, where I have done my mistake, Why it is wrong? What is the correct option? When you keep the molecular level of observation and careful analysis on each and every question, guys, you are the people, you are going to rock it and you can make wonderful things in coming exams. So I am telling you, all guys, make serious effort and make sure that you have to complete this table. Pakka, most commonly we get a question in the final NEET exam. Table is very important. So don't sit idly at home. Make sure that you do some work, and I have to say that work, if you can send it to me through WhatsApp, it's highly appreciated. And definitely I'll remember the guys who has done the work and who has sent me the reply saying that work is done. Table is very important. That's why I'm telling you these many times. Right now. After this, now even we can take varieties. There are so many varieties are there, but most common varieties are this. Right. Now let us go to the second category. What is the second category? Mutational breeding. Mutational breeding. So these are the examples for what? These are examples for conventional breeding. So these all are the varieties which are created by the process called as what? Conventional breeding. Conventional breeding means selection, hybridization. These all are the varieties have been produced. Now coming to mutational breeding. So guys, you have to understand what is called mutation here. First of all, what is called mutation here? Mutation purely speaks about alteration of genes. Mutation clearly speaks about alteration of genes where on DNA, and that creates a new variety which does not exist, new variety character or characters which does not exist in parents. Which does not exist in parents. I repeat again. What is called alteration of genes on DNA? What exactly meant by that? Now if you take, this is the DNA. So here are the genes. For the last class I showed you that one gene contains 3 nitrogen bases. For example, GCG. ATC. So here one strand I am writing, opposite strand all of you know, G codes with C codes with G codes with C, like that. So when you take 3 genes, 3 genes together, it's called one gene. One gene includes 3 nitrogen bases. So what is mutation now here? Whenever there are changes in the surrounding environment, so this is all of you know, this is DNA. Whenever there are sudden changes in the environment, when there are very sudden changes in the environment, then it causes some alterations in genes. What are alterations? So here, instead of reading these 3 as one gene, it will read as CGA. Instead of reading this ATC, it will read it as TCA. Instead of reading AGC, it will read as GCG. That means there will be alteration. Guys, even if you don't understand what I told you here so clearly, no matter. Why? Because this is a major concept we are going to discuss in molecular biology. Each chapter ki related ga unna concepts meeku ikkada cheptunanu nenu. If you don't understand, no problem. This part if you don't understand, no problem, because this topic we have to discuss with so many points in depth, then only you will get back to this point, then only you will understand this. Presently what you have to understand this is alteration of genes on DNA. If you don't understand, just keep it this aside. What do you have to remember? The genes will be altered on DNA. When genes are altered on DNA, what happens? That creates a new variety character, totally a new variety character which does not exist in parents. So whenever DNA modified because of environment, genes are altered here and there. As a result, there may be chance of producing a new character which wasn't there in the పేరెంట్స్. అంటే పేరెంట్స్లో లేని ఒక కొత్త క్యారెక్టర్ ఆఫ్స్ప్రింగ్లోకి ఇన్కాల్కులేట్ అవుతుంది, ఇన్వాల్వ్ అవుతుంది. దట్ ఈస్ హౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ పాసిబుల్ మీన్స్ only we can remember mutation breeding, right? So here the genes are altered. This we will study very clearly in molecular biology. Presently if you just understand this, well and good. If you don't understand also no problem, because this needs lot of information. We will study this in molecular biology. So presently what you have to understand, again I repeat, what is mutation breeding? Alteration of genes on DNA that creates a new variety character which does not exist in parents, right? So let us talk about example here. I am just writing the examples, very important example. Mung bean. So mung bean is a variety. Now they modified the gene by mutation. Here now it shows resistance to, now mung bean shows resistance to two important diseases. One is yellow mosaic virus and other one is powdery mildew virus. Yeah, very important. Earlier natural mung bean variety, if you take bean variety, mung bean means it's a bean variety, and this particular plant most commonly highly infected and affected by the two diseases. What is that? Yellow mosaic virus and powdery mildew virus. Now what we have done, we created a new variety of mung bean by the process called mutational breeding. Now this new variety of mung bean, now it shows resistance to yellow mosaic virus and powdery mildew virus, means no more it is not affected by these two viruses. Now it is protected from these two diseases. Now plant became highly resistant and no more causing of these diseases. The plant is safe in getting resistance by the process of mutational breeding, right? And apart from this, we can take another example. So here I am writing another example, very important examples. So this is one important example. Guys, you can see when I keep 3 star marks and 2 star marks, this point is very important. You have to keep it in your mind, very important. And take another example for this is nothing but okra. Okra is nothing but what? Bendy. So you know lady's finger, right? What is the scientific name of that? Abelmoschus esculentum. Abelmoschus esculentum, very important. Okra is commonly called bendy. What is the scientific name? Abelmoschus esculentum. Even this okra also shows resistance to, it shows resistance to yellow mosaic virus. What is that? Yellow mosaic virus. Okay, so very important. And that variety is created, it's called Parbani Kranti. It's created, it's called Parbani Kranti. Very important. Again I repeat, okra, it's a bendy variety. Scientific name is Abelmoschus esculentum. It belongs to family Malvaceae. In morphology we will study that. In first year revision part of morphology we will study that. Now it also shows resistance to yellow mosaic virus. That new variety what is created, bendy variety is a wild variety we are taking, naturally growing bendy plant we are taking, whose genes are altered. Now is showing resistance to yellow mosaic virus. That new variety is named it as what? Parbani Kranti. It's named it as Parbani Kranti. What is Parbani Kranti? Lady's finger, that is bendy. Abelmoschus esculentum. Guys, these two examples are very important. One is mung bean, other one is bendy. These two are examples for mutational breeding, right? So let us continue with Plant breeding showing resistance to insect pest. Insects and pests, they cause lot of damage to the plant. After getting the yield, they cause lot of damage to the grains, fruits and vegetables. So there are some varieties which are created here, and these varieties, they show resistance to the attack of insects and pests, and that it made it possible again by the method called as what? Plant breeding. Now let us take, this is for the last one, what I have given is table number 1 and this is table number 2. The two tables are very important. This is table 2. Right. So here we talk about Brassica. Brassica, here if you take the variety created, it's called Pusa Gaurav. Again I am writing the plant name here, and the variety created, it's called Pusa Gaurav, and showing resistance to insect pest. So here these are the headings: plant name, variety, what is being produced, and it shows resistance to what, right. So Brassica is the one which shows the variety what is being created, it's called Pusa Gaurav. This particular variety, now it shows resistance to aphids. Now it shows resistance to what? Aphids, right. And next one is, we can talk about three things are there. One is nothing but the Brassica, right. Other one is nothing but the Okra, and other one is nothing but the cowpea. Cowpea, you know, you studied what is called as Pusa Komal, right. So here cowpea and also chili is there. We have three examples. Okra and bendi is there. So all three examples you have to remember. Now look at here, this is also beans, or you can take bean varieties for both. What are new varieties created are nothing but flat bean sem 2. We can write Pusa sem 2 and Pusa sem 3, right. So these are nothing but the two what I have written are flat bean varieties, Pusa sem 2, Pusa sem 3. So beans, they have given the same names. After that they created new varieties for chili also. For chili also they have given same names, Pusa sem 2 and Pusa sem 3, right. And these varieties, they show resistance to aphids and jacids. They show resistance to what? Aphids and jacids. Now coming to this one, and also fruit borers. Try to remember, not only jacids and aphids, fruit borers. Now coming to okra. Okra, what the variety it's been created, it's called as Pusa Savani and Pusa A1 are the varieties. These are the varieties. Okra means bendi, Pusa Savani, Pusa A1 are the varieties that shows resistance to fruit and shoot borers. That shows resistance to fruit and shoot borers. Very small table, simple table, only 3 examples. Make sure that you practice on white paper and revise it. Try to write without saying. Let me know that the day when this class is presented to you, the video is being given to you, by next day work has to be done, and give me reply saying that work is done, right. So this table is simple. What are they? Brassica, beans, chili, okra. Brassica is Pusa Gaurav is a variety, and it shows resistance to aphids. And beans and chili, the varieties are flat bean varieties are Pusa sem 2 and Pusa sem 3, and that shows resistance to aphids, jacids and fruit borers. And next one is okra bendi, the variety is Pusa Savani, Pusa A1, that shows resistance to fruit and shoot borers. Now apart from this, plant also has a good characters. By modifying those characters, we can make plant itself showing resistance to the diseases. How it is possible? For example, if you take some of the plants, you find hairy leaves. When plant has hairs on the surface,